sensitive case that I'm going to talk about, particularly because this case involves or surrounds domestic violence, a lot of violence, and events that ultimately led to this tragedy. And again, the name of the woman is Dorothy Stratten, and she was a Playboy playmate. So without further ado, let's get to the video. So I'm going to give a brief history of Dorothy and who she was, and how her story is definitely a warning and a lesson to all women out there, and why it's very important to take men that show signs or dangerous signs of being abusive seriously, or when a man threatens to hurt us, to be taken seriously. Because with the education and early intervention can help prevent more of these cases and femicides. I'm tired of women dying over the stupidest things because men can't control their emotions and can't let women go. So Dorothy Stratten shot up to fame after she was featured as a Playboy Playmate of the Month for August 1979 and earning Playmate of the Year in 1980. She pursued an acting career, and she was featured in many films and television productions. Dorothy's last film was in a movie called Galaxina, and her career was promising. She was making it, she was going places, and she had way more to live because she was only 20 years old. And unfortunately, her career and livelihood was cut short because she was unalived by her estranged and abusive husband, Paul Snyder. I just hate uttering his name because that guy was trash bag that he was. And not to spoil things, but he did take himself out. Thankfully, the trash took itself out, right? And the reason why he decided to take her out with him is because he was jealous and enraged because Dorothy was divorcing him, and she was severing all professional ties, including financial ties. Dorothy met Paul when she was 17 working at a Dairy Queen. And Paul walked into the Dairy Queen and started hitting on a high school girl because that's what trash like Paul Snyder do. He was also a pimp. A lot of sources says he was 27 or 28, but he was actually 29. And, you know, pimps could be very charming and manipulating, and Dorothy falls for his tricks. And he starts grooming her. He says, oh, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you could be a playmate. And around that time that he's grooming her and saying he's going to take her to the top, you know, selling her a dream when it was really a nightmare, he looks in the newspaper and finds an ad for Playboy. They were having the Great Playmate Hunt, and whoever won this was going to be obviously Playmate of the Year, have opportunities with Playboy, and also be like a spokesperson basically, and they were going to win prizes, things like that. Well, he convinces, or I guess coerces, Dorothy to take nudes because Dorothy was never really sold on this. She never really wanted to be in Playboy. She never wanted any kind of career in entertainment whatsoever. She just wanted to live a regular life. And at the time when she submitted her test shots to Playboy, she was working as a secretary. She had just gotten hired there 3 weeks prior. So Playboy was like a whirlwind away, right? She actually made the cut. She made it to the top 25. And she flew down to Playboy. They liked her. She wasn't selected, but then again, eventually she becomes Playmate of the Year. And that's when things start to unravel with her and Paul. He starts to become more controlling and possessive, particularly more obsessed with her success, her growing success. And Dorothy got tired of it because Dorothy wasn't really just a wife. She was just a meal ticket, and Paul wasn't working. When she worked at the Playboy Mansion and she won Playmate of the Year, she moved to Los Angeles and she was covering most of their bills. Paul didn't work and he didn't want to work. He didn't want to do anything. He just wanted to live off her, and he felt entitled to her success because he basically had discovered her, which is true. So this is the meat of what I'm going to get into to recognize the signs of danger. So one thing we can learn from Dorothy's story and tragedy is that, one, we don't owe men kindness at the expense of our safety. Dorothy, everyone around her consistently described her as kind, polite, non-confrontational. She tried to let Paul down gently instead of cutting him off completely. And the lesson in this is that kindness is not an obligation when somebody feels entitled to you. Keep in mind what I just said. Did you hear what I said? Entitled. He felt entitled to her because he discovered her. You may have discovered her, but that doesn't mean she owes you something. If someone helps you out, helps you elevate, you don't owe them shit. Yes, they may have helped you. Yes, they may have been the stepping stone, but you also have to put in the work in order to maintain that success or be successful, which is what she did. And being nice doesn't necessarily prevent harm. It sometimes invites it, because you're not putting your foot down. Which is why I made that last video, treat your boundaries like your life depends on it, because it can save your life. And her story shows that boundaries matter more than politeness. Do not be afraid to hurt people's feelings. These kind of people, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Seriously. They don't understand. They live in a black and white world, and everything to them is blurred. Everything in their world is either shit or Chanel. They don't understand meeting in the middle because they're crazy, or they're mentally unstable or unbalanced. Which is how Paul was also described. Number 2, harmless and desperate shouldn't be underestimated. That's another thing in this story. That's another flaw in this story that I noticed. That Paul was often portrayed as awkward, desperate, non-threatening, kind of, I guess, pathetic. You know, he was pitied a lot because he looked small time, he acted small time, and Hef didn't. And the lesson in this is that men who appear weak, who appear needy, are often underestimated, and that underestimation can be deadly. Do not gamble and do not let things slide just because you think that person that is saying they love you and they care about you won't hurt you. He told Dorothy he loved her, he cared about her, and in the end, he ended up taking her out because he couldn't have her. She was cutting him off and she was moving on. And that's something you need to be careful with and watch out for. If they're possessive, if they're showing any signs of entitlement, possessiveness toward you, you're from that person. And Paul didn't fit the stereotype of a violent man, which made people, especially the naive Dorothy, 20 years old, no worldly experience, less guarded around him. I think she only had maybe one boyfriend before Paul. What can you expect? Number 3, don't think that just because a guy isn't laying his hands on you, that he isn't dangerous. Physical dominance isn't the only form of power or control. Obsession, resentment, and entitlement are forms of power too, because those are things that can grow and escalate, especially if they're not dealt with. We hear this all the time, oh, jealousy kills, destiny swapping. It's a real thing. And that's because those things tend to escalate, which is why it's so dangerous to be around a person who's envious of you. I don't care how much they say they love you. You have someone that's envious of you or wants your life, you need to get away from them. Because some people don't know how to deal with their resentment and jealousy. And instead, the only thing they know how to do is take it out on other people. Take it out on the people that they supposedly love. Jealousy is a normal human emotion. It's just about handling them the right way. Everyone has insecurities. It's just about handling them the right way, right? And so this whole dynamic, this whole idea that I'm talking about, this challenges the idea that only obviously scary looking men or physically abusive men are threats. You ever heard of people who are like silent killers? They say you gotta watch out for the quiet ones. Those people are not going around smashing things, breaking things in public, but they're still experiencing those feelings and emotions inside. Do not underestimate the quiet person and think that just because they look or appear meek or they don't flip out, that they're not. Usually when they're quiet, they're thinking. They are simmering. 4, possessiveness is a huge warning sign. One of the first red flags that you need to pay attention to. Paul didn't see Dorothy leaving as a normal breakup or her right to choose whoever she wanted to love or whoever she wanted to be with. He saw it as betrayal, maybe humiliation, and something that required punishment. Like, oh, you're going to leave me? Nobody leaves me. You're going to leave me? I'm going to do something about it. And the lesson in this is that when a man believes access to you is something that he's owed, rejection becomes a huge trigger for them. They don't see it as a boundary. They see it as you're disrespecting them. Oh, I founded you, I discovered you, and you're not only are you going to leave me and divorce me and sever all ties and not support me anymore, but you're going to go cheat on me and leave me for somebody else? Because Dorothy was seeing somebody else. And I'm not here pointing the finger. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to get an understanding and insight of a lot of things related to this tragedy, right? And everyone has a right to be happy. We've all been there. And that isn't rooted in love. It's really about ownership over you. He didn't see Dorothy as a person. He saw her just like as a possession, a shiny car or something. And that's how some of these men are. Number 5. Society trains women to manage men's emotions and then blames them after tragedies like this. But the question is, why are we always blamed for things like this? Why are we always responsible for other people's emotions? You are not responsible for other people's emotions or how they feel. That is a them problem. They have to deal with it. It has nothing to do with you. And this is another common thing that I notice when it comes to domestic violence, is that why do they stay? Why do they stay? Why can't they just leave? If it were that easy, we would be able to leave. Because it's not just the physical scars. You have the emotional, the mental, the psychological abuse, which tends to stay with you longer, probably a lifetime, that sometimes no amount of therapy can fix. Instead of asking, why does she not leave? We should be asking, why is that person behaving that way? Why is he treating this person this way? What made him like this? We put so much emphasis and responsibility on the woman leaving when we really should be pointing the finger at the perpetrator. Nobody deserves to be abused. Nobody deserves that kind of treatment. And if you're being abused right now, I want you to know that you're more than that. You're worth more than that. You can gather the strength to leave. Like Tina Turner, who hit Ike back that one day and she never looked back. You have the right to be treated well and treated with respect and loved. Nobody has a right to abuse you or put their hands on you. And no, nobody's entitled to you or your success, even if they helped you get that success. Piss the fuck off. Women are taught to prioritize emotional labor over self-preservation and then get blamed when that conditioning backfires. Imagine that. Ain't that some shit? But Dorothy didn't fail herself. The system failed her. She didn't know. She was only 20 years old, thrust into a world that she had never known. She had never even had a cocktail before. This was a whole new world for her. Had her whole life ahead of her, a bright future ahead of her. Everyone described her as being a beautiful person, kind, angelic, luminescent. She never got to live out her dreams because she was taken before her time. She was taken at 20 years old. And this is why we need to talk about this. Because even to this day, people disrespect the dead. Men or women, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't be hitting each other. Oh, but she should have left. How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you, someone enslaved by psychological abuse, with nowhere to go, no worldly experience, naivety, innocent, how dare you? And then, even after tragedy strikes and they're no longer here again anymore, you still ask that same stupid question. Go and respectfully fuck yourself and get educated. Because if they were that easy, we all would have left a long time ago. And this is why women never really get the strength to leave. There's people right now, as we speak, in relationships that are being beat. They're being hurt. And nobody ain't doing a fucking damn thing about it. You have so much to say about it? Why don't you build a fucking nonprofit? Why don't you build a women's shelter, a refuge for women, instead of talking so much shit? And before you judge someone for their situation, get educated. But ignorance is bliss, isn't it? And number 7, final thing. Lucky 7, right? Never meet someone you're leaving or breaking up with alone if you feel off about it, or especially if they've been violent towards you or threatened you. Do not meet with someone alone. Bring someone with you. If you can have someone sort it out for you, let them do it, or don't even show up at all. Close that chapter, move on, and never look back. Because Dorothy thought that she could deal with it on her own. Never could she have imagined the person that she also loved and appreciated so much and was grateful for discovering her, that she married him. Never in a million years, I think, she would have thought that the man that so proclaimed to love her ended up being the one taking her before her time. Never go alone if you have suspicions. The most dangerous time is when you try to leave your abuser. Even if that person has never shown signs of being abusive, you don't know what that person is thinking. You don't know if that person could just snap one day. All of us have evil in us. We all do. We all have it in us to unalive somebody, or snap, or go, like they say, crazy. And it's so sad that Dorothy never got to achieve her dreams. But I want Dorothy to know, in the ethereal realm, that there's so many people that understand your story, myself included, having gone through something like this. I totally understand it. And my heart goes out to her. In the spiritual realm, this is a great lesson to learn from. And if you're in a relationship like this, I want you to come back to this video and listen to this story. If you ever think about going back to someone like this, watch this video. Listen to Dorothy's story. Just remember that sometimes there's people out there that can latch onto you and never let you go, ever. So use discernment when choosing people, or choosing people that you want in your life, and especially when you enter into a new relationship. How does that person make you feel? Do they make you feel safe when you're around them or away from them? Does it feel all over the place? Does your energy feel calm, steady? Pay attention to your gut. Intuition is never wrong. And now I want to properly close out with a prayer that I came up with specifically for Dorothy. So I'm going to start now. Prayer to the universe, the cosmos, and afterlife. I lift up Dorothy Stratten in the spiritual realm. May her soul be surrounded by peace and healing. Where there was pain, bring comfort. Where there was fear, bring safety and rest. May loving spirits and divine protection guide her path. And may she feel honored for the beauty and the kindness that she carried in life. If she still walks between memories and light, gently lead her forward into clarity and freedom. And may love reach her, and may her soul ascend to higher realms. Amen.